water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, Otter discovered a game that Microsoft had put on his computer, but everything changed when his free trials ran out. Only a new computer could give him more trials, but when he needed them most, Microsoft stopped including the game. Many years passed and Otter has found the game once again on the platform named Steam. And although his memories are fond, there is a chance that he was a stupid child desperate for entertainment. But I believe he will rediscover it anyway.
You're not even playing an Avatar game.
I know, I just couldn't pass up that iconic of an opening.
Let's discover 4 Elements. I first discovered this game back as a kid on the very first computer that I was ever allowed to use. Now, while I know that Solitaire and Minesweeper and all those classic games are gone for some inextricable reason in Windows 10, back then there was actually a second games tab for a while that would have these cheap little PC games that you could play for a limited number of free trials before you would then either have to buy more play coins to keep trying them or pay for the game itself in its entirety. I managed to cheat the system by just leaving the game running for days until I was able to beat it, and I felt so smart, and I loved this game. But there's every chance that I was just a stupid little kid who would love anything that was a video game with how few video games I was allowed to play, and anything that got me out of doing schoolwork.
I had completely forgotten even the name of this game and just called it The Matching Game with the Fairy. But one day while browsing Steam, there it was, and on sale too. I recognized it instantly and bought it without even thinking. But right after I finished the purchase and the download had begun, I started to question myself. Just a few months ago, I was criticizing HuniePop on the grounds that tile matching games aren't deep and complex gameplay, that they were essentially just luck and that there was very little skill that could be implemented. But in HuniePop there was other nominal gameplay. In 4 Elements, the tile matching is the backbone of gameplay. It makes up 90% of the game. So can this really be any good? Well, let's start this game up and discover what's going on. Immediately upon beginning the game, we are greeted by a fairy dressed all in green. I shall call you the Ginger Tinkerbell. That gives you one more good quality than the real Tinkerbell for a total of 1. We are the hero that has been called upon to save the lands by restoring the 4 books of the elemental magic. But before we can begin to save the first book, we must restore the Altar of Earth to find the key. I'd honestly forgotten about these little levels. There are 4 Find the Missing Object levels, one at the beginning of each book. These are, they're not very good. Yeah, yes, they're very pretty, and I like the idea of using the objects you find to change the environment to find more objects. The problem is that the items are broken up into tiny pieces that you have no idea the shape of. Without that, it's hard to even begin to know what to look for. Then you'll end up with completed items that you found all the pieces to, but you won't be able to use on the world until the end. The water book in particular is guilty of this with 2 items that have no purpose on finding any more items. One opens up an area so that you can use the other one so that you can get the key. You had an interesting idea here, it's just marred by poor implementation. The level's not long though, and you have unlimited hints, which are not so much hints as, "Here you go, idiot!" But with liberal use of those, these levels aren't that annoying, and you can quickly progress to the real levels, tile matching. So I'm sure you're all expecting me to rant and get upset, but this is fun.
See, what HuniePop did wrong was use the tile matching to be a game within the game to facilitate a different part of the game. Once you've done that game within game, the parameters are just too tight for it to actually be enjoyable or interesting.
In 4 Elements, the entire game mechanic is tile matching, allowing it to be used to much greater effect. The goal is that you must clear blocks to allow the magical water to flow from the start point all the way to the magical altar. Every tile you match, the block beneath that tile crumbles to let the water flow through, and if you make a chain of 5 or more blocks, it also will cause an explosion at the end of your chain. The longer the chain, the bigger the explosion.
HuniePop took a free-to-play game system and tried to repurpose it as the backbone of a real game. The matching system was therefore hampered by the limitations of the free-to-play system, and what few power-ups there would be to try and help you were ineffectual at best and wasted your precious moves in order to even access them.
Once again, 4 Elements did it right. There's no limit to moves, only a timer. For those that watched that February review, you'll recall that I said the only way you can get better at tile matching games is to recognize matches faster. That's exactly what will make you feel like you're improving at this game. The faster and more accurately you can spot matches, the easier of a time you'll have progressing through these levels. This game also has power-ups that shift the field in your favor, but these are far more impactful. You have a shovel that instantly removes one block, the bomb that destroys the tiles that are under it but not the blocks, the shuffle randomizes everything on the field to hopefully create better patterns, and the swap power-up lets you take any two tiles and swap their locations to create better chains. They are simple, but effective use of your power-ups can make all the difference between making it through a level and failure in the latest and hardest levels. Best of all, access to these power-ups is granted organically. As you match tiles of a certain color, you'll fill the meter for the power-up. Match enough tiles, you'll gain use of the ability. There are some levels where the only way to progress is to use the power-ups in tandem and repeatedly, and I will admit those levels can get extremely annoying. You end up just sitting in the same part of the screen, grinding the same colors over and over until you can make a tiny bit of progress so that you can start grinding again. But those levels are definitely in the minority, leaving the rest surprisingly well built around this core concept. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said of the special in-between levels to mark the chapters of the Magic Book. With each tile matching level completed, you have to sit through Ginger Tank magically unshuffling more of the words on the page and making some more of the picture appear. That doesn't feel that long at first, but by the 4th book you really wish there was a way to skip this little cutscene and move on to the next level immediately. Instead, you have to sit and watch the fairy drain the remaining amount of time for extra points that mean nothing. Then she flies across the screen and provides you with a tip you've already read. You click so that you can watch the aforementioned cutscene, then click to close back out of the book, then press play to get to the next level. It all adds up in the end. Every 4 levels, the picture in the book will be complete. The picture will then duplicate, and you must now play Spot the Difference puzzle. I hate these puzzles. I think the only type of puzzle that I innately hate more are those block sliding ones in a square with the only one hole in them. Those things come straight out of hell itself to torment us. Once again, the Spot the Difference pictures are very pretty, but some of the differences are minute. Like, go ahead and tell me what the difference was there. They are so tiny of differences as to be annoying when you find out where they were, but the tell me where it is before I strangle you obnoxious little Disney reject button still exists, so that's at least still tolerable. With all 4 books of Magic released, you are told that you are a hero and then given a text scroll along the edge of the screen. It tells you how great life is and that we went down in history now and there's a chapter in one of the books dedicated to us. And if you wait until the text scroll ends, it starts over from the beginning. What an epic blowout of an ending. And I do mean blowout, like a tire on a highway, with much the same effect on the pacing of the game. Because once you've reached that end, that's your entire reward. You get kicked back to the title screen and your only option is to start a new game. That was a lot of work for an absolutely amazing amount of nothing. Even so, this is a charming little game. It knew what its core mechanic was and how to make the most of so little. I could really do without the pointless side games, but they don't number that many. It's currently $4 on Steam, and when I found it on sale it was under $1. It makes a nice little game that you can pick up when you've only got 15 or 20 minutes to kill and play through a level or 2 and then get back to work.
Or get weirdly into it and play for 3 straight hours like I did. I should probably mention that for such a cheap and seemingly simple game, my playtime clocked in at about 6.5 hours. So you'll be definitely getting your money's worth for the price, just don't expect an amazing ending.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Hopefully you all enjoyed this week's episode. Next week's going to be a bit shorter, but with that said, there should be plenty of humor abounding in it for all of you, especially those of you who enjoy Myth's antics. So make sure that you're all subscribed so that you'll be able to see that and share it around to share that weird, bizarre joy with everyone else when it comes out. And until then, remember, life is always another game waiting to be discovered.
See, what Honey Pop did wrong.
You're not even playing an Avatar game.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Italian.
I know.
You're not even playing an Avatar game.